my Lebanese sister outside. Camry number 24, the first female Arab American, Miss Toni Breidinger on the rotation.
Thank you. I love that introduction. That was so fun. It's exciting. I think this is my first podcast of the year, actually. You're my first one.
I'm so honored to have you, especially because you're all about representing, especially for the women in the Middle East. And before we even get there, we will. But I want to talk, where are you currently at in the season right now? The season just started, correct?
Yeah, so it's about to get started. So basically our season goes from February. We kick it off with Daytona, which is our biggest race of the year, which is kind of funny that we kick it off with that. And then our last race is kind of like around November. So we have a couple months off, and I say off very lightly because it's a lot of training and a lot of preparation for the next season. So you're not really like off, but like off from racing, I guess.
What's it like? What were you thinking when that's a pinnacle, you know, a Super Bowl. How did you feel getting there?
Yeah, so I remember, my first time racing there, I think was about 2 years ago now. This will be my third time racing there. And I remember the first time I ever went was just to watch. And it was the previous year. And I was like, wow, this is dope. Like, you like see it on TV, but when you're actually in the center of the track and you drive through, like, it's massive. And you get like these chills, and it was just very surreal. And I remember as soon as I got there, I was like, I'm going to race here next year. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And I did it, which is super crazy.
And I know that you're a female racer with the most wins in the United States Auto Club, with a history of 19 wins. Best finish is also 6th in other races. That is fire. What do you do running around with that stat like that?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it sounds like when you kind of like have it on paper, it's like, oh yeah, she did that. But it was a process. I mean, I've been racing ever since I was 9. Also for me, I feel like there's so much more that I want to achieve. So it's kind of like things that people consider like accomplishments. To me, I'm like, I don't know, there's just so much more I want to do.
Talking about your journey and who you are, I know that you started go-karting when you were 9, which, by the way,
yes.
When I was go-karting, the neighbors called the police on us. So I don't know why. And on top of that, guess who else drives a Camry?
Ooh, let's go.
A 1995 Toyota Camry, because this is the third car I totaled.
Stop.
I want to talk about your journey and how you started at a young age with your twin sister. And when college came, you decided, Khalas, I'm going to go into racing. And she decided to go to school. Tell me what that was like and why you decided to bet on yourself, because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, so basically I started racing with my twin sister Annie when we were 9. We tried go-karting just for fun. Like, my dad introduced us to it. He didn't have a background in motorsports, and he wasn't really expecting us to want to pursue it like that. As soon as I started go-kart racing, I told my dad I want to be a race car driver. And I think my sister, she was very passionate about it, but didn't feel like we were very two different people, which is funny because we're twins. I feel like she's always very, I almost want to say like realistic and very structured. She's like, okay, I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to take AP classes this year, honor classes this year. And for me, I was like, I didn't care about school in that sense. I was like, I'm going to be a race car driver. I don't need college for that. So that kind of is what determined, me moving to North Carolina as soon as I graduated high school and came out here not really knowing exactly what I need to do to get to be a NASCAR driver, but kind of knew I had to come out here to make that move. But yeah.
Explain to me how important the representation of not even just women like us, women in general in this sport right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think representation is so major. I mean, seeing is believing. I think if you see somebody that looks like you that's doing something, then you're like, oh, wait, I can do that too. So I honestly think representation is like one of the most important things. So for me, like you said, I always say like I'm the first, but I don't want to be the last, because I really do hope that I'm paving a way for others. And maybe it's not through motorsports. Maybe it's just to go into an industry that isn't typically, like that's male dominated, or, they don't typically fit in. So for me, I just want to inspire people to just be the first you, and like don't feel like you have to like follow in somebody else's footsteps. And I feel like it's a lot easier said than done, because it's scary, because you don't really know what you're doing half the time. You're just kind of winging it.
You're also a double minority in this sport, and I know you have a lot of friends out there on the racetrack. What do you guys talk about, or what kind of support do you have as a double minority in this sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, what I love from my teammates and from a lot of the Toyota drivers, like, they just see me as a driver, which I love. Like, I don't want to be treated differently. I don't want them to treat me like anybody other than a driver, because I'm a driver just like them. So I don't want like to be treated differently in that sense. And I'm sure it's the same for you in your industry as well. Like, we just want to be like known for what we do and like what we do good at.
But I know you're teaching people how to learn how to drive and get more kids into it. How important is that for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think, racing teaches you so much. And I feel like from me, like at a young age, looking back, I'm like, I learned so much from racing. I mean, racing is extremely humbling. I mean, it's not like you're on a team sport where it's like 50% chance of winning. I mean, your odds of winning are very slim. It's like you against like 30 plus drivers. So I think it really teaches you discipline and kind of, like you're not always going to win, but you have to like keep pushing forward.
I think when I found who you were about a year ago, first off, jaw drop. I was like, we got a bag, my Lebanese sister outside. I honestly, I wonder, who do you commend your work ethic to, or you becoming yourself? Is it your family?
Yeah, definitely my mom. I mean, she was never going to let me slack. So she was always on me. So I definitely think that's kind of where I get my discipline from. And I feel like, she didn't let me slack, no talking back, get your work done, that type of vibe.
You're sponsored by the best of the best, and even things unorthodox from women like us, like Victoria's Secret, but you do it so incredibly and respectfully. How did that come about? And how do you feel being a representative of one of the best brands ever?
Yes, I mean, racing, it takes like sponsors to go do. So I feel like at a young age, I was kind of like teaching myself how to do marketing decks, how to pitch myself, how to like talk in meetings. So I feel like it's been a long time coming. And, Victoria's Secret in particular, when I was younger, I loved Victoria's Secret.
Yeah,
like
I'm still
that.
Birdieing my pennies. Stop playing.
Yes, literally. So when I was younger, I dreamed of Victoria's Secret. I used to watch the fashion shows. Like I'd walk in the store and I'd be in awe. Like I was like, I love being a woman purely for the fact of Victoria's Secret. Like I was obsessed. So to be able to work with them.
Okay, so I want to play a game with you because you are on the Rotation Culture Calls. It's a game called Random Racer. Are you ready? I want to ask you all kinds of racing questions that I may not be educated on, nor is the audience. Because again, NASCAR, especially in the Middle East, is a growing sport. So
let's do it.
First thing, your favorite track, and do different tracks make you nervous? A new track makes a driver nervous, is that correct?
Yeah, so even though they're all ovals, they're all very different because there's different banking, there's different track surfaces, different lengths. Like there could be a bump in the track that makes the turn sketchy. So for me, every track is very different. And I would say my favorite one is definitely Daytona, just because it's Daytona. It's so exciting.
Okay, what's the fastest you've ever gone?
So I would say Daytona, we get up to like 185, 190 range. Daytona and Talladega, those are the super speedways.
What goes through in your head alone?
Yeah, I would say usually when you're racing, there's so much going on. But if you're just doing like, for example, we just tested at Daytona. So you're doing like a lot of single car runs. Like I'll be thinking about, usually like I'm pretty focused, but sometimes you'll be like, oh, like look at the sunset, or oh, like look at the little cloud up there. Like just random stuff like that. Like
how long are you typically in the car for? And how long would you like to really be in the car for?
Yeah, I would say we're in there for about 2 hours. It goes by pretty fast, but the ones that take forever, or it feels like it takes forever, is when the races are really hot, because then you're just struggling the entire time and it's not fun.
We're in there. And I was going to ask you, what's your go-to makeup tip or your makeup product? Because you got to go in there and sweat it's not cool. And your face, mashallah, flawless. So what are we doing to keep this right in the sauna every day in the car?
Yeah, I would say number one, you need like a good foundation for your makeup. So like actual like skincare, like having a good skincare routine.
Have you ever like been really close to like, I gotta pee in this car. I'm peeing here in the diaper. Is that?
So people do sometimes pee in the race car, but for me, like for the most part, I sweat everything out so much so I don't have to pee. But I'm the type, before I get in the race car, I pee like 10 times. Like if I'm anxious, I will literally keep peeing because I'm so scared of having to pee in the race car.
When you're in those moments and when you crash, what goes through your head and how do you not get nervous to get right back in that car and keep going? That's a huge barrier you break immediately.
Yeah, I would say for not being nervous for next time, you just have to have short-term memory. You have to like pretend it basically didn't happen. You have to be able to like turn your mind into a switch. Like even if you see like your teammate wreck, you can't let that get in your head like, oh, they just wrecked. So you have to like just turn it off like that and pretend it didn't really happen.
Been one of your most memorable races to you out of all of the ones you've done. You're also starting a new season right now. Is there a track you're excited for?
I would say my most memorable was my first time at Daytona, just because I think that was one of my like I made it moments.
Are you into cars outside in your personal life too, or just like the NASCARs?
I would say I appreciate a nice car, but at the same time, I'm not like, oh, like I need this really like fancy car. Like, because to me, like, okay, if you have a Lambo, that's dope for you, but at the same time, you can't really push it to its limits on like the street. I mean, you could, but it's like not legal.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean?
Supers. You're going to King Supers. You can't go that fast. Can I sit in your car? Do people sit in your car? No one touches it.
So there's one seat in there. So you'd have to like be able, and like our seats are molded to us. Like we have inserts. So like it's very like you're in there like a glove. But if you want to get in there, go for it.
How hot does it really get in the car? Stop playing. How hot does it really get?
It can get us like 130, like hot.
You want me to win and do an interview after? I need hair and makeup. But that's funny. Growing up, who were some of the people that you looked up to in the sport?
I would say, Danica Patrick is the most known female in motorsports. I think she's probably made it the highest within motorsports. So for me growing up, like she was really the only female that I knew of in motorsports. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like she's doing it. I can do it on and off the track. He's my fave.
What's it like driving in the Venturini sports?
Yeah. So Venturini Motorsports, I love being with them. They're a Toyota development racing team.
Wait a minute. Shout out Toyota.
Yeah.
We love y'all.
Toyota.
Thank you, Toyota, for my Camry. No.
Yeah. But it's really great being with them. I feel like I've learned so much and they have so much knowledge and they're really, really great at bringing up young drivers.
But like, what are some other sports-like things that you'd want to do on your arsenal, on your goals?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I have a lot of things that I still want to accomplish within motorsports. Definitely, to win at Daytona and to win championships. I mean, NASCAR has a whole ladder system, so I want to be able to, get to the top level, which is the Cup Series, and also like win at every level going up.
What do you see for the future of women in this sport?
Motorsports is still very male dominated, and I think, through the years, I do see more females coming up, but I think, as you get like further up in the sport, there's less and less females. I mean, there hasn't been a female in the sport since Danica Patrick in the top level. So, and like she's been retired for, it's probably been a decade. Literally. So it's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, yes, there's more females coming up, but I feel like, as you go up through those ranks, like the numbers get smaller and smaller. I mean, there's only a couple females in NASCAR that are running like the full season due to funding issues. So, and I think it goes for all female athletes, like the lack of support and funding. I think we're all just underfunded. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but definitely, I wish we could move a little bit faster.
I want to know for all of the Middle Eastern girls who are watching this right now, what are you telling them about not only motorsports, but what it's like to pursue your dream, believe in yourself, and go for it, regardless of where you come from or who you are? What do we want to tell our girls?
Yeah, I would say my number one piece of advice is don't be afraid to be the first you. Don't put yourself in a box that like, even if your family's trying to put you in a box, or your friends are saying, people like you don't do that. Like, doesn't matter. Be the first you and don't feel like you have to follow this path that, your family or friends are doing.
I have to ask you the question I ask everybody, and we do a little bop. Miss Toni, what song are you dedicating, my friend, to the rotation?
Ooh, I planned it this morning, so it's like coming to my head, but maybe Headlines by Drake.
Oh, so you're going like real, I'm the best.
Yeah.